Connecting those two now I know we're still missing hair, but we're going to stop here for today.
My shirt collar.
When you're finished,
remember,
go ahead and
eyebrows
draw
are
your
sisters and brothers.
They're not
curved
for today.
lines
All the
so
way
it's
to the
okay if they
bottom
don't
of my
perfectly
rectangle
match.
box, and now I have added my shoulders. Now, hair is going to look different for everybody, but the basic part is that most people have a hairline. That's where your hair splits into two different directions. So draw that line first. Now mine is going to be on the right side of my selfie, and you can see I drew a curved line with my hair going down towards my ears, and I repeated the same on the other side. Now I'm going to begin drawing the top of my hair, which is the top of your head, and I'm drawing another curved line. Now I'm not drawing every single hair strand, I'm just drawing a simple outline of my hair. I'm erasing a few lines in my hair that originally was the top of our head, but we don't see that anymore. We just see our hairline. After erasing some of those funny hairlines, I'm now going to go back and erase those horizontal lines that we drew going in the middle of our face. Those lines were our guidelines, so we no longer want to see them. This is my favorite step because we get to add details that are Romero Britto inspired. I'm going to add a few fun shapes on my cheeks. I'm using a circle shape and a heart shape. Now we're going to section out our background. I'm going to split up my background into at least 4 to 5 sections. Using short, light lines, these spaces will all have different shapes and patterns. I'm going to be using a thin and a thick Sharpie to outline all of our pencil lines. Use the thick Sharpie for large areas of your selfie, like your face, your neck, and your background. For the thin Sharpies, use that for your small details like your eyes and your lips, and any other small details that you have. Remember, when you're outlining with Sharpie, try not to press down too hard or you'll hurt the Sharpie. Sharpies have feelings too. If you hear that loud squeaky sound from your Sharpie, that means you're pressing it way too hard. Here is what I outlined with my thick Sharpie. Now I'm going back in with the small details and using a thin Sharpie, like my eyebrows, my eyes, and my lips. If there's any pencil lines that you forgot to outline, go ahead with a big eraser and erase everything. We no longer want to see any of that pencil. Adding a few simple lines to create some movement in my hair, not drawing 1,000 lines for my hair, but just a few, just to add a little bit more detail. Moving on to my background, each space is sectioned out. In each space, I'm going to pick some of my favorite shapes and draw them. For example, I used hearts in one space and triangles in another. After filling in those shapes, I realized that I couldn't really tell the sections apart, so I went back in and made that line a little bit thicker. I'm constantly asking myself, how can I make my artwork better? What is the quality of my artwork? Now this next step is optional, but Romero Britto often does this in his artwork where he connects a lot of his facial features and he draws funny lines in the face. So I'm adding this funny waving line down the center of my face, and that is Romero Britto inspired. Double check your artwork and make sure everything is outlined and all the pencil has been erased. Now we're going to add a little bit of color using oil pastels. Each table will have a tray and you will have 4 sets of oil pastels in that tray. Grab one box for yourself and make sure when you're using an oil pastel, you use one color at a time. That way we don't lose any of them. If you notice that the paper is getting in the way when you're drawing with them, you may carefully peel a little bit of the paper off and make sure you throw away that paper and don't leave it on the floor. only things that we are coloring in our selfie is small details of our artwork and shapes. When I'm ready to begin coloring, I like to do this trick first. I outline the shape first, then I go back and fill it in with color using craftsmanship. That means I'm being mindful how I'm coloring, choosing one direction to color in. Now, oil pastels are quite soft, so try not to color too hard or they might break. Repeat this step until all your beautiful shapes and patterns are colored in. After I've colored in all my shapes and patterns, I'm going in and coloring my iris, my pupil, my eyebrows, and my lips. Here is my finished example. When I'm done, I'm going to turn it into my artwork folder and double check that all my oil pastels are back in the box and safely back in the tray. We're going to begin painting today. Make sure you have finished all your oil pastel before you begin to paint. When you're ready, take your artwork out of your artwork folder. At your table today, you will have your paintbrush, your painting basket with your water cup filled halfway. If you are an art expert, your job is to refill it halfway with clean water. You will also have your towel to wipe off your brush dry, and you will have your paints. These paints right here are colors for our skin and for our hair. Try to find a paint color that matches your skin best. You might have to mix some of the colors to get your skin tone. I'm going to be reviewing some painting techniques with our paintbrush. Remember, how you hold your brush is the type of paint, stroke, or line you will get. If you hold your paintbrush at an angle, so not straight, you're going to get a thicker paint, stroke, or line. If you hold your paintbrush really tall, like a ballerina or a building, you're going to get a very thin line. So hold your brush according to the area you're painting. If it's a small detailed area, hold it tall. If you're painting a large space, hold your brush at an angle. To use these paints, we need to wake them up with water. I like to start a mini swimming pool. So now we're doing a painting technique today called oil resist with my brush. That means gently. The oil pastel that we used first will resist the paint. That means the oil and the paint do not like each other, so you can actually paint right over your oil pastel and you should still be able to see your oil pastel. If you don't, that means you've used too much paint and not enough water. If you're trying to mix a color to match your skin, my trick is to put one layer of that first color, then go back in with the second color, and then they will mix together to make your skin color. Don't forget to paint your ears and your neck. Next, let's find a paint color that will match our hair color. If it doesn't, then you can mix your own paint color to match, just like we did with our skin. Now don't forget, when wet paint and wet paint touch, they will mix, so be careful as you're painting close to your skin. When you're finished painting, take your artwork to the drying rack. We're going to be using a lot of the rainbow colors to add lots of color, just like Romero Britto. Just like last week, we're using those same types of dry paints, so we need to wake them up with water. Start a mini swimming pool by dropping in clean water and gently waking up that paint. The painting technique that we were using last week is the same as today. It's called oil resist. That means your paint can go right over the oil pastel because they will resist each other because oil and water don't really like each other. Paint your background until your background is filled with beautiful painted colors. Don't forget about painting your shirt as well. When you're finished painting, take your artwork to the drying rack.